Higgsfield just released Cinema Studio 2.5 with two massive updates that promise to bring unparalleled cinematic control and character consistency to AI video production. But are these actually worthwhile upgrades, and have they fixed any of the shortcomings that I found with Cinema Studio 2.0? Over this past week, I tested it out so that you can know whether it's worth your time. Higgsfield did give me access to this tool, so they're sponsoring this video, but as you know, my opinions are completely my own, and I'm not gonna pull any punches. If you appreciate that, do me a favor and hit the like button down below and comment real in the comments section, because that tells the sponsors that you value unbiased reviews like this. First, we're gonna dive into Higgsfield's new location and soul cast character creation tools. These are the two biggest updates to Cinema 2.5, and they revolve around Higgsfield's new exclusive Soul Image Gen model. The first thing you'll probably notice in Cinema Studio 2.5 is down here where the camera and lens settings used to be, we now have characters and locations. This is a big difference because now to use camera profiles, you have to go down here to the lower left and switch back to Cinema 2.0. Cinema Studio 2.0 does not have character or location generation options, but there is a way to use characters created with Soul in Cinema 2.5 within Cinema 2.0 so that you get the best of both worlds. You get the characters and you get the camera settings. I'll show you that in a minute. First, let's check out the new character creation feature in Cinema 2.5 powered by Soul Cast. Here you can build an entire character from scratch, starting with the movie genre. They have everything under the sun available here, from comedy to horror to sci-fi, but I want to create a fantasy film with a princess and a hero. So we'll start with the princess and select fantasy. Now we can choose our movie budget. I mean, might as well just crank this sucker all the way up. The next setting is era, but that only goes back to 1900, so I think I'm just gonna leave this blank for a fantasy film. And now we get into the actual character creation. The first choice is archetype. This is the main purpose or role of a character in the film. There's stuff like hero, explorer, creator, and sage, but for a princess rescued from a tower, I'm gonna choose lover. Now we can pick her gender, female, race doesn't matter, and for age, let's go with 25. Moving on to physical appearance, you can select a number of different builds. I'm just gonna go with average, then short height, hazel eyes, hair with fringe and bangs, colored blonde. Next, we can add more details like facial scars, but I'm just gonna leave this blank. And finally, the outfit. You can do something custom or choose from a bunch of different standards, and I'm kind of curious if the genre will actually come into play automatically, so let's just see if it puts her in a dress when I select formal. All right, all of our crazy details are all in one place. Now let's generate. By default, Soulcast creates 5 different character variations to choose from, and it actually loaded really fast. The problem is none of these characters really match what I was looking for. But interestingly, only one of them failed to get the genre appropriate clothing right, and it's this one. I don't think I've really ever seen a princess in a pantsuit. Thankfully, iterations are super cheap with this tool. 5 generations doesn't even cost a full credit, so I'll just make some tweaks right here to the generation prompt, and then we can see if we can get it a little bit closer. Okay, these are better, it's almost there, but oh my gosh, look at this one. I don't know where that came from. Let's try one more time. Okay, there's actually a couple here that could work, but I think this one is my favorite. I especially like the little green details on her dress at the bottom here. Now let's make our hero. I'm gonna make this one a little bit trickier with some custom instructions built in. For the eyes, I want his left eye to be blue and his right eye to be brown. I also want there to be some burn marks on his right cheek. And finally, I want him to wear some woodsman style brown leather armor with chainmail underneath and a green hooded cloak. Here are the first 5 options that we got. Bro, this guy. Oh my gosh, dude's a unit. Out of all of the heroes here, I think that this one, Rowan Mercer, is the closest to what I wanted from my prompt. But it still didn't get its eyes right, and I'm not really a huge fan of his outfit. That said, everything else looks good, so instead of generating a whole new character, we can just edit this guy. I'm gonna change up his outfit with a little more chainmail and a longer cloak, and change the color of his eye. Boom. That's our guy. I did want to see how the genre would influence the look of the characters that I created though. So on the hero, I swapped the fantasy out for sci-fi and got this result. Then I switched to comedy, which gave me something much more grounded. The same changes were visible with the princess character. Sci-fi was a super bold change in practically every way, and comedy brought in way more color. When you have characters that you really like, you can just go down here and click Save as Element, which will allow you to tag them in all sorts of different generations across Higgsfield, including but not limited to Cinema Studio 2.0, which has those camera profiles. So if I want to generate an image with my main hero and the princess in Cinema Studio 2.0 with anamorphic flares or crazy warping around the edges and all of those features that we're used to with Cinema Studio, I can do that now. Now I want to test out the location creation tool and then see if the character and location consistency actually holds up when creating cinematic start frames. The location creator is super straightforward. Just describe your location in the prompt box and hit generate. This first one of the staircase was made with a super simple prompt, and I think it looks really good. Although the torch over on the wall here, it looks a little weird. It's almost like a candle holder, but it should be a torch, and you know, it's just one of those things. The second location, which is the top of the princess's tower, was generated using a super detailed prompt. And I think this one looks even better. That's all fine and good, but none of this matters if none of the characters or locations can be actually properly used in image generation. So let's test that out. For our first shot, I want an image of our hero climbing up the stairs with a sword and a torch. I'll tag the hero and tag the location and just give it 2 renders to see how it does. Okay. Well, you're looking at them, and I think that seemed to work really well. The first image is basically just the hero edited into the exact stair image that we used for the location, which is okay, but the second render is clearly the same staircase, but from a slightly different angle just to get the frame of the hero a little bit nicer. And in both of them, I think that our hero looks great and very consistent. To further test the location and character accuracy, I generated 3 more images each with both the hero and the princess in different locations, at different camera angles, and in different outfits to see if everything would hold up. And honestly, it worked really well. Let me know which of these images is your favorite down in the comments. Now for one more image of the princess sitting on the edge of her bed in this tower. Both of these generations look good, but I think that this one is just, it feels more naturalized, so I prefer this one. Now that we've got this start frame, I want to check out one more new feature from Higgsfield and see if one of the old features has gotten any better since the last time I tested it. First, the new. Higgsfield has introduced a complete color grading workflow for your image generation so that you can dial in their look before going and animating them with video generation. On the upper right, they've got presets like natural, soft, film, and black and white, but you can also dial in a custom look yourself. I don't like super harsh styles, so I'm just gonna slightly soften the details, add a little bit of bloom here, and then drop in just a tad of halation, slight warp, and super subtle film grain to make it feel like a movie. Here's before, and here's after. It's a very small difference, but I like it a lot, and I think the quality of these features, the halation, the bloom, everything looks really good. So this feature, 2 thumbs up. I think it's awesome. The only thing that I would definitely put on my wish list here is to be able to save custom presets, because if I'm generating a bunch of images and I'm color grading them all to match for a whole AI film, I don't really want to start from scratch every single time. Now to check in on old tools. One of the things that was really lacking in the old Cinema Studio 2.0 was their 3D scene feature, where you can move around a scene and capture new angles of the same shot manually. This didn't work at all in Studio 2.0, so let's try it out with this 2.5 image. I'll capture a close-up of her face here, and a wider one of like a more front-on angle. Okay, this tool still does not work. I mean, the face shot just kind of gave me an abstract image of her arm, and the wide frontal shot just added a weird pillar to the main image. Definitely don't use your credits on 3D scene generation. Like before, the better option would be to use the multi-shot feature, which created all of these new shots of the scene, but multi-shot does tend to lose character consistency a little bit, so you gotta be careful there. Here's the princess from multi-shot, and then here's the original reference. There's a pretty big difference. Now that we've got 2 great start frames, we can go over to the video generation side of Cinema Studio 2.5 and create our final videos. I will say I had a lot of trouble with Kling 3 on these. Take a look.
Princess, I'm here to rescue you. Move quickly. Come on.
Rescue me from what?
I'm not going to break down everything that the video generation struggled with because that's more of a Kling 3.0 problem, but it's important to know that when you're using generations on the video side of Cinema Studio 2.5, Higgsfield almost always, if not always, defaults to Kling 3, so you'll get all of the strengths and weaknesses of that model here. Now it's important to know that Higgsfield's going to keep updating Cinema Studio's video generation models. It's not going to be like stuck on Kling 3 forever. When Kling 4 comes out, or maybe like C-Dance comes out, they're going to update it with the best image or video model possible every time. Overall, Cinema Studio 2.5 didn't really introduce much new in the way of the video side. So if you want a full breakdown of that, then check out my Cinema Studio 2.0 review that I created about a month ago. I'll have that linked at the end of this video. There was one major issue from that old video that I wanted to check in on again though, and that's the implementation of the speed ramp control in video generation. With the speed ramp feature, you're supposed to be able to control when a shot speeds up and when it slows down, but this was very hit or miss with the last version of Studio. To see if they've made any improvements here, I loaded up the same motorcycle start frame that I used in the last video test and tried it again to create a video that starts slow and then speeds up and then finishes in slow motion again. I generated this video twice, and both times it started slow and then sped up and then went slow again, which was all great, but for some reason, both times it wanted to speed up and it sped up again right before the end. So it's still kind of got a bit of a mind of its own. I'd say that the verdict of speed ramping in Cinema Studio 2.5 is like, maybe it's a little improved if they touched it at all, but it's still not super reliable. Finally, I want to test a feature that actually isn't new to Cinema Studio, but I somehow completely missed it the last time that I reviewed this, and that is the character emotion control. Within the video generator, whenever you tag a character in a scene, you can change their attitude or emotion by clicking this little smiley face to the right of their name tag. Here you can select from a whole wheel of emotions and have even more control over how the character acts. But does it work? I think that the most obvious place that this can be seen is in AI character dialogue. So to test this out, I generated the same scene with the character of the princess having totally different emotions in 3 different generations. Take a look.
Elena, I think I like you.
I can't believe you.
Elena, I think I like you.
I can't believe you!
Elena, I think I like you.
I can't believe you.
I definitely think that the most natural and fitting one here was the first one, which was disgust, but you can definitely see a difference between all of the different emotions. So I think emotion control has to have 2 thumbs up. It definitely works well, especially when combined with a detailed prompt. So that is Higgsfield Cinema Studio 2.5. Honestly, it's a pretty huge update, but it's really nothing that feels too overwhelming, which is nice. Now, this video focused entirely on the newest updates to the Cinema Studio tool, but if you want to see all of the huge changes that came with Cinema Studio 2.0 and how they perform, you should check out this video right up over here.